The test of character. The November morning air carried a sharp chill through the downtown streets, and a light mist hung between the tall buildings like a thin gray veil. The city was waking up slowly. Early commuters hurried past with steaming coffee cups, their footsteps echoing off the wet pavement, while delivery trucks rumbled down the mostly empty streets. It was the kind of morning that made people pull their coats tighter and walk faster, eager to reach the warmth of their destinations. Marcus Wellington adjusted his navy blue suit jacket as he stepped out of his black sedan, nodding to his driver before walking toward the Wellington Educational Technologies building. At 38, Marcus had built his company from a small startup into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, but lately something had been weighing heavily on his mind. Success had brought him wealth and recognition, but it had also created a barrier between him and the rest of the world. Everyone who approached him seemed to want something, an investment, a favor, a piece of his fortune. As he walked down Fifth Street toward his office building, Marcus found himself thinking about a conversation he'd had with his elderly mentor the night before. The true measure of a person, the old man had said, isn't what they do when they have everything to gain, but what they do when they have nothing to lose and everything to give. Lost in thought, Marcus almost didn't notice the young woman sitting on the steps of the old brownstone building across from his office. She sat quietly, her back against the weathered brick wall, wrapped in a tan cardigan that had seen better days. Her light brown hair fell in gentle waves around her shoulders, and despite her circumstances, there was something dignified about the way she carried herself. This was Emma Rodriguez, though Marcus didn't know her name yet. At 23, Emma had been living on the streets for 4 months, ever since she had aged out of foster care and lost her job at a small bookstore that had closed down. She had spent the morning looking for work, walking from shop to shop, but most places took one look at her worn clothes and politely declined. Now she sat on the steps, trying to gather the courage to face another day of rejection. Marcus stopped walking and observed Emma for a moment. She wasn't asking for money or holding a sign. She was simply sitting there, watching the world go by with eyes that held both sadness and hope. Something about her quiet dignity reminded him of his own mother, who had raised him alone after his father left, working 2 jobs to keep them afloat. An idea began to form in Marcus's mind. It was unconventional, perhaps even risky, but he had learned to trust his instincts in business. Why not trust them now? Marcus reached into his wallet and pulled out a black credit card, not just any credit card, but his personal platinum card with no spending limit. It was the kind of card that could buy a car, pay for a luxury vacation, or change someone's life entirely. He walked across the street and approached Emma slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Excuse me, Miss," Marcus said gently, his voice carrying the calm authority he used in boardrooms but softened with genuine kindness. Emma looked up, surprised to be addressed by someone so clearly successful and well. She had learned to be wary of strangers, especially men in expensive suits, but something in his eyes seemed different, not predatory or condescending, but genuinely curious. "I have a proposition for you," Marcus continued, crouching down so he was at her eye level. "I'd like you to take this credit card and use it however you see fit. No strings attached, no questions asked." He held out the black card, and Emma stared at it as if it were a foreign object. The card gleamed dully in the gray morning light, and she could see his name embossed in silver letters. "Marcus Wellington." "I don't understand," Emma said quietly, not reaching for the card. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Marcus replied simply. "I just want to see what you'll do with it." Emma looked at the card, then back at Marcus, searching his face for some sign of deception or hidden agenda. She had been on the streets long enough to know that nothing came free, that kindness usually had a price attached to it. "This is some kind of test, isn't it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus nodded slowly. "Yes, it is, but not the kind you might think." Emma stared at the card for a long moment. She could see the logo of an exclusive bank, could imagine the possibilities it represented. A warm meal, a hotel room, new clothes, maybe even enough to get back on her feet. But something about the situation felt wrong, like accepting the card would compromise something essential about who she was. "I can't take this," Emma said finally, gently pushing his hand away. "I appreciate the offer, but I haven't earned it. I don't even know you." Marcus felt something shift in his chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with the temperature. "Why not? You could buy anything you wanted with this card." Emma looked down at her worn shoes, then back up at Marcus with clear, honest eyes. "Because it's not mine. Because taking something I didn't work for would change who I am. And because ... double quotes." She paused, struggling to put her feelings into words. "Because I'd rather earn my way than be given a handout, even when I really need one." Marcus sat down on the step beside her, his expensive suit touching the cold concrete. "Even if it means staying hungry, staying cold." "Even then," Emma said with quiet conviction, "my foster mom used to say that your character is what you do when no one's watching and when you have nothing to gain." This feels like one of those moments. Marcus was quiet for a long time, watching the morning traffic increase as the city came fully awake. Finally, he put the credit card back in his wallet and pulled out a business card instead. "My name is Marcus Wellington," he said, offering her the card. "I run an educational technology company, and I'm always looking for people with integrity. Would you be interested in an interview for a job? A real job, with a real salary that you would earn. Emma took the business card with trembling hands, reading his name and title. You'd really give me a chance. Even looking like this. Marcus smiled, and Emma noticed how it transformed his entire face. Especially looking like this. Anyone can look successful when they have money. It takes real character to maintain your principles when you have nothing. 6 months later, Emma Rodriguez stood in the conference room of Wellington Educational Technologies, presenting her ideas for a new program to help homeless youth find employment and housing. She had started as an administrative assistant, but her insights and dedication had quickly caught Marcus's attention. As she spoke to the board of directors, Marcus watched from the back of the room, remembering that gray November morning when she had passed the most important test of all, not by what she took, but by what she refused to take. Sometimes, Marcus reflected, the most valuable thing you can offer someone isn't money or opportunity, but the chance to prove to themselves who they really are.